me now, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Welcome back to the show, Senator.
Thank you.
All right, a lot to unpack there. So let's start with Ukraine. We know that our president met with the new UK Prime Minister Starmer at the White House to talk about this use of Western weapons further into Russia. New York Times says this: the president remains deeply fearful of setting off a dangerous, wider conflict. You heard Mike Tobin's reporting there. I mean, Putin out there saying that he considers it will mean NATO countries, the U.S. and European countries are fighting Russia. He says it'll create a threat he has to respond to. Is he bluffing?
All I can say is that this administration has been a disaster on the world stage. They've been slow to deliver weapons. They've been slow to deliver the jets. They've been slow to allow Zelensky to put pressure on Russia to get him at the table. Air bases inside of Russia are being used to kill Ukrainian civilians. Most NATO allies would like Ukraine to be able to use the weapons more effectively. Yes, do not let Putin set policy. What's going on in Israel? We had Iran in a box. One of the first things that Biden did was let him get back in the oil business. We're at 300,000 barrels a day when Trump left in terms of Iranian oil, 1.3 million now a day by the Iranians. They took that money, gave it to Hamas, Hezbollah, and they're on the verge of a nuclear weapon. When it comes to the Biden-Harris administration, they're a complete disaster. I've never been more worried about a nuclear breakout by Iran than I am right now. I've never been more worried about another 9/11 against America than I am right now. The withdrawal from Afghanistan put every jihadist on steroids. We have a broken border. There are more terrorists in our country than any time I can remember associated with terrorism. So a 9/11, we're just living on borrowed time here at home, and Israel may have to strike to prevent a nuclear-armed Iran. If the Ayatollah, who's a religious Nazi, had a nuclear weapon, he would use it. It's just not Ukraine. The entire world is on fire, and Harris's fingerprints are all
Senator,
over this. She was the last person in the room in Afghanistan.
Okay, I want to ask you about several of those things, Iran and others, but first I want to make sure, one more question on Ukraine. When it comes to how this thing wraps up, President Trump was pressed the other night about how to win this, what he considers, and he kept saying he just wants to end it. Listen, you've been to Ukraine more than I have. I was talking to Ukrainians this week, though, who say it cannot involve ceding territory to Putin that he took from them. That's not how they see this ending for many reasons. Do you talk to the president about what his plan is if he's reelected to end this thing?
Yeah, he's right to want to end the war in a way not to start a new war. The last person I would listen to about how to end the war is the Biden administration or the Obama team. In 2014, we had an end of the war in Ukraine. It led to another invasion. Here's what Trump will do. He will end the war in a way not to entice China to invade Taiwan. He will end the war in Ukraine in a way to prevent a third invasion. Biden has no plan to end this war that is effective. I am listening to Zelensky. He has a plan that's coming out in about a week. What we need here is an American president that can get Putin and Zelensky in a room to end this war, to make sure we don't have another war. The whole world is watching. We need an American president to put Iran back in a box before they get a nuclear weapon. We need an American president to secure our border and go back to rational immigration policy. We need an American president that will stand up to radical Islam and make us strong. If we do not change course, Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon. There's going to be a 9/11 attack on our country. And if we don't watch it, Putin's going to keep marching through Europe. It is now time to change course and change people and put Trump back in charge, because when he was president of the United States, none of this was happening.
Let's talk about Iran, because you've seen more intel than we're hearing in this Foundation for Defense of Democracy saying. They're saying, listen, it could come before November 5th, but they're saying they think it's probable before January 20th, whoever the new president is, that Iran is going to have nuclear weapons capability. They say this, too. They have recommendations. The administration should consider deploying select U.S. military forces to the region. They also say President Biden should say a statement like this: if Iran takes additional decisive steps toward producing a nuclear bomb, I will use military force to destroy Iran's nuclear program. Now, you know, more U.S. troops on the ground in that region, a direct strike on Iranian territory. Is that not going to be viewed as exceptionally provocative to a place that's already very, very combustible at this point?
America is viewed as exceptionally weak When Trump killed Soleimani, who had American blood on his hands, Iran went back in a box. When he applied maximum pressure to the regime, they got weaker. Now they're running wild because Biden released all the sanctions. Nobody in the Mideast fears Biden. So Israel is in a world of hurt. Hamas has attacked them viciously on October the 7th, and the response of Harris is to try to throttle the Israeli response. Hezbollah is acting up in the north, but the biggest threat to the state of Israel and to world stability is the Ayatollah with a nuclear weapon, and he's on the verge of that. I fear that he may try to break out before the election thinking Trump is coming back. To my friends in Israel, do what you have to do to stop the Ayatollah from obtaining a nuclear weapon. He's a religious Nazi. He will use it. So to the American people, if you want to avoid World War III, you better change course. The course we're on is going to lead to major conflict everywhere. And back to the governor of Pennsylvania, my friend, she does not believe in fossil fuels. She is held closely by the radical environmental lobby, Harris is. In May, Russia is selling more natural gas to Europe than we are. We have enough natural gas to provide Europe and cut Putin off at his knees. We stopped exporting natural gas to create jobs in America because the environmentalist agenda is crazy. We're literally allowing Putin to dominate the natural gas market in Europe because we're afraid to send it from America to Europe because they're afraid of the extreme environmental lobby. This is the dumbest decision they've made, and that is saying a lot. We should be sending Europe natural gas made in America and cut Putin off as his needs economically.
Okay, I want to make sure before you go, Senator, that I ask you about this briefing the Secret Service gave you guys last week about the assassination attempt on President Trump. Senator Blumenthal came out of there and he said people are going to be shocked and appalled and astonished at what actually happened. What's your reaction to what you heard, and when will the rest of us hear the details?
Shocked, appalled, and disappointed. The best thing that can happen is for the Secret Service to go back to the Department of Treasury. They're in Homeland Security. They're lost in a big agency. We need to clean house, but we need to get them back into the Department of Treasury where they did much better. What happened in Pennsylvania was a complete breakdown of the system. We're so fortunate and lucky that they did not kill President Trump. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I'd just like to end this. We're in a very important election cycle. I'm hoping that President Trump will be the best of Trump, and when he's good, there's nobody better I've ever seen in American politics. We're on the verge of major wars. We're on the verge of an Iranian breakout acquiring a nuclear weapon. We're on the verge of a 9/11 happening in our backyard yet again because of bad policy choices, and Harris's fingerprints are on everything that's going wrong. High inflation, broken border, and this disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. She was in the room on everything, and there's no there when it comes to Kamala Harris.
Well,
she's a mile wide and an inch deep.
Well, listen, I would love more debates, more interviews with her, because I think there's a lot to be fleshed out on foreign policy, so we'll see.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Listen, we hold out hope.
You can find Bigfoot easier than you'll find her.
All right.
Okay,
well, the door is always open to the Harris Waltz team here at Fox News Sunday. Senator Graham, thank you.
Thank you.